Greetings, peace be with you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you must give up in order to raise your vibration permanently. Because this whole game of life, in my view of things at this point in my journey, really comes down to the combination of who we really are, right? And who we really are is a combination of how we think and how we feel. And that creates our vibration, right? And our vibration is in resonance with everything that we experience, right? The people in your life right now, your environment, the situation that you find yourself in, right? Everything that you experience in your life is in direct resonance with your vibration. People talk about the law of attraction, right? But my conception of that was messed up for a long time because I thought that it meant just visualizing in my head what I wanted. But that never worked because I never changed who I was at the deep core fundamental level. But as we elevate our vibration, it means letting go of everything that doesn't serve us, right? For a long time, I thought I had to do more, take more action, put in that willpower, put in that hustle, put in that grind, keep pushing it, go faster, go harder. But what if, rather than doing that, right, rather than running on that hamster wheel, trying to do more, we could just let go of everything that doesn't serve us so that we could naturally attract the life that we want, right? The law of attraction is not about visualizing what you want. It's about becoming the type of person that is worthy of creating the life that you want, right? Being the type of person that has a vibration that is in resonance with the results that you want. And in this video, like I said, I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 things that once you give them up, once you let go of these things, then it will allow your vibration to reach its natural high point that is your birthright. Okay? Because like I said, there's so many programs that hold us back from expressing who we really are. And this whole journey for me, as I've looked back, has not been about doing more. It's not been about pushing myself more. It's been about letting go of the stuff that doesn't serve me so that I can express who I am naturally, right? Now, the first thing that you must give up in order to raise your vibration is the feeling and the belief that you are not enough, okay? For a long time, this was driving my behavior. I thought that I was not good enough to actually come here, make videos. Who would ever watch them? And if I mess up, people would make fun of me. I'm not good enough to make videos. That was my belief, right? I thought I wasn't good enough to start creating a business that would allow me to travel the world. I thought I wasn't good enough to sculpt a body that was strong, that was muscular, that was lean, right? And when I thought that I was not good enough, then my behaviors were driven through the lens of scarcity. They were driven through the lens of fear. They were driven through the lens of trying to get something so that I could fill that emotional void on the inside. But that emotional void on the inside can never be filled from the outside, right? Once we realize that that emotional void cannot be filled by anything material from the outside, right? Then we can let go of our need to try and get something from the outside, okay? Once you realize that you are enough just by the mere virtue of you being here, right now, okay? Think about the mere fact that a single ejaculation contains about 200 to 500 million sperm cells. Out of those 500 million sperm cells, there's one particular sperm cell that went and fertilized the egg inside of your mom, right? Your dad's one particular sperm cell out of his lifetime of ejaculations, which is probably like, a lot. And that one particular sperm cell went and fertilized that egg and created you who you are right now, right? So the odds of you being you right now are minuscule, right? If we just take it from the basis of that one ejaculation is 1 in like 500 million. We take it on the basis of your dad's entire ejaculations over his entire life, it's like 1 in something billion, right? So the mere fact that you are alive right now means that you are enough, right? What if there was not so much for you to do, so much for you to, push yourself towards, but just by the mere fact of you being you, you are enough, right? Now, this is definitely a practice, okay? Because there's so much stimulus that comes in. There's so much distraction that comes in that moves us in a million different directions. There's marketing messages coming in saying that if we don't buy this thing, then we're not going to be good enough. If we don't get this girl, then we're not going to be good enough, right? But this is a practice of really embodying that vibration. Because once you realize that you are enough, okay, that is when you begin making your decisions through the lens of power, right? True power. I'll link out to another video over here, but true power is not about forcing it. True power is about building it up, because you realize you are enough. You realize that you are all that you will ever have. You are all that you will ever need, and that there's nothing outside of you to get, right? Once you really embody this, because right now it's words, it's air, it's symbols. They don't mean anything other than the meaning that you give to them. But once you can really begin to let go of this not enoughness, right? Because a lot of times I think this not enoughness has been picked up since childhood, because as children we are so impressionable, our subconscious mind is developing, and at some point in the journey I suspect that there is a disconnect between, like, who are our role models when we're kids. They are our parents, right? Our father and our mother. And at some point, like, I don't know what your childhood was like, right? All of us have different struggles, and then our parents are dealing with their own stuff, right? That might be unaddressed. But at some point, like, even though like most parents would want the best for their kids, they want to give them unconditional love. It's like at some point in the kid's mind, that inner child, he confuses the approval for the love, right? It's like, I love you, kid, but why don't you have good grades? I love you, kid, but don't hang out with your friends, right? I love you, kid, but don't mess up, right? Like, you get scolded, and then you confuse that love for the approval. And even though your parents love you, they don't approve of certain behaviors and certain aspects, and then we confuse the two, and then we think we are not good enough, and then that program plays out again and again and again. Okay, so how do we actually experience that we're enough? I think that it requires a lot of inner child work, right? Reflecting on what may have happened when you were a kid that causes you to experience these feelings of not being enough, right? Doing some shadow work, right? Really facing your insecurities head on, facing them and integrating them, right? Because I think that the source of our insecurity is our shadow, right? It's the representation of everything that we're insecure about. And when we try to avoid it, when we try to suppress it, when we try to repress our shadow, is when it begins expressing itself in weird ways, right? It's like whack-a-mole. You put something down, you suppress something, and something else pops out from the other direction. So the more we can learn to actually integrate our shadow, integrate our dark side, the more we can become whole, right? Yes, we are light beings, but light cannot exist without the dark. And once we can actually learn to integrate our shadows, integrate our insecurities, and become whole as a result of them, is when we can learn to let go of these emotions, this belief that we are not enough. And once we realize we are enough, then all of our decisions, all of our behaviors are through that lens as well. And we begin to naturally experience that high vibration energy. Now, I know I spent a bunch of time going through this point right now. Okay, make sure to stick to the very end, because the fifth thing that you must give up might be the most insidious. It's something that I'm dealing with right now as well. But if you really get to the core of it, it's this one belief that holds us back so many of the times, right? This feeling that we are not enough. And for me, a practice that has been very beneficial has been to just maintain that awareness always. Is what I am doing right now, is what I'm about to do right now driven through the lens of trying to get something, or is it driven through the lens of trying to give something, trying to be of service, right? And the more I can develop that awareness, the more I can purify my own intent, the more I can naturally experience that high vibration energy. Okay, now the second thing that you must give up in order to raise your vibration is instant gratification. Okay, everything around us has been engineered to give us that instant spike of dopamine. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter which really motivates human behavior, and anything that gives us that spike of dopamine is a behavior that will be repeated. Anytime we eat that sugar, our body has become rewired to favor eating that sugar again and again and again. Anytime we bust a nut to that pixel on a screen, our body becomes rewired to do it again and again and again, right? Instant gratification is when you trade away your future, right, for the cheap thrill of the present moment. And why do we do this? It's because of the illusion of time, okay? It's because a lot of us can't see the connect between cause and effect, right? You eat a burger today, it won't do anything right now. You eat a burger tomorrow, it might not still do anything. But you eat a burger every single day for a year, you'll be a burger at the end of the year, right? It's about understanding that cause and effect are distanced over time, and anything that you do right now echoes in the chambers of eternity, right? Really understand that anything that you do right now is going to be linked to everything that you experience in the future, right? It's like every single decision that you make is like a chain on a link. In that way, it's impossible to affect one link without affecting all the other links. So every single decision that you make forms a chain of your life, and every single decision affects every other decision as well. So the more we can actually learn to make our decisions that are in alignment with our vision, rather than the cheap thrill that our body has become conditioned through, right? We've been hacked by the instant gratification, the dopamine spike on our phones, right? Getting that social validation, getting those likes, getting those views. And this is something that, again, I think is a practice. Me, myself, I look at, okay, who commented on my video, how many notifications did I get, how many likes did I get, how many new subscribers did I get, how much validation did I get. But then again, it roots back to the first belief, the first letting go of the not enoughness, right? So I think it is a practice, because from one angle it's like, okay, I don't feel like I'm enough, so I need to get validation. But from a very different angle, it's like all these companies around us, whether it's the food industry, whether it's the social media companies, whether it is the pornography industry, whether it is anything that is causing you to trade your future away for the cheap thrill of the present moment, whatever that is, we have to learn to give that up in the glory of our fabulous future that we seek to create, right? It all comes down to that. Are you creating your vision? Are you making the decisions that are in alignment with your vision? Or are you giving in to the cheap temptation of dopamine, right? Are you giving into your five senses that keep you plugged into this Maya matrix, that keep you plugged into the cycle of chasing pleasure and moving away from pain, right? Because some things, they feel tough in the moment, right? You lift that, you do that pull up, it feels tough, right? But eventually you gain benefits from it over the long term, right? So we must learn to give up that instant gratification in the favor of the vision that we seek to create, if we are to become the conscious creators of our reality. Okay, now the third thing that we must give up in order to raise our vibration is our grudges. Okay, understand that no one does anything wrong according to their model of reality. Really think about that, because you've been hurt in the past. We all have, right? Maybe it was someone that you loved. Maybe it was someone that was very close to you that broke your trust, that broke that chain, right? Broke your heart, whatever it is. And that just shattered your perception of reality, because you really, really trusted this person, right? And they just broke that trust, and then that made you question everything around you as well. But the more we can actually learn to develop that empathy, right? Give up our expectation of how we want people to behave, right? We can learn to forgive them, okay? Because when we're carrying around that negative emotion in our body, right? Let's say that someone screwed you over, someone cheated on you, right? You're carrying that energy within you. That energy is very heightened. You haven't let it go yet. When you're carrying that energy, you will end up attracting people like that in your very own life, okay? I have a friend who was telling me that, you know, he had an abusive stepmom, and he was carrying that energy in his body, and then he ended up connecting with a girlfriend who had that same energy, who was abusive, who tried to control him. He ended up with the same boss in his work who had that same energy as well. And it wasn't until he learned to let go of that grudge by forgiving his stepmom, right? By understanding her situation. She is doing this right now because of something that she experienced, right? No one is doing anything wrong according to their model of reality, right? Everyone is doing the best they can where they are, with what they have, based on what they've experienced, based on what they believe is best for them in that moment, right? So it's more about forgiving them for their ignorance, right? More than judging them and holding on to this energy, which just ends up attracting more of it in our lives. Okay, very, very important to let go of our grudges. And forgiveness is something that is a practice I engage in, and it's not for the other person, right? It's like for myself, so that I can learn to let go of this energy and allow my vibration to raise as a natural byproduct of that. Okay, now the fourth thing that you must give up in order to raise your vibration permanently is mainstream media. I was talking to my grandmother about this. Every time I go to her house, she has a news channel playing, always switching from the news. Oh, this, you know, this negative thing happened, that negative thing happened. I'm like, why are you always watching news? Why are you always watching mainstream media? Like, I have to know what's going on in the world, right? I have to know. It's like, look, understand that the mainstream media is a business and they function and generate income based on your attention. And what they play off of is the person's negativity bias, right? The human brain was designed, engineered, mostly optimized for an environment that is very different than the environment we live in right now, right? It was designed in an environment where there was conscious threat of predators, right? There was conscious threat of something in our environment that would take our lives away, and therefore we have this bias to always seek out the negative, right? Therefore, the mainstream media gets way more attention from putting out negativity than it does from positivity, right? Because there's so much positive stuff happening in this world. It just depends on the colors that you carry on the inside, right? Whatever model of reality you have on the inside, that is what you will scope out based on something known as the reticular activation system, right? Whatever you believe to be true, that is what you will find evidence for. And if you allow the mainstream media to infect your mind with the virus of fear, then that is exactly what you will find in the world, right? And once we can learn to actually identify the mainstream media as fear mongers, right? They function based on dealing fear, right? Because when you're feared, you get that spike of energy. You're like, shit, I gotta watch out, right? And then you get that energy and then you get addicted to it. Emotions become addictive as well. That's why people have become addicted to watching the news. And a crazy stat that I was reading, I think this was a while back, not entirely clear on the study, but it was done on the Boston bombings, right? The Boston bombings took place, and they found that people who watched more than 6 hours of media coverage on the Boston bombings had more post-traumatic stress than the people that are actually at the Boston bombings, right? So the more we can understand that the mainstream media is not there to provide you with the news, they're there to generate income, and it just so happens that human attention is more likely to be geared towards watching out for the negative than the positive. Then we understand that why would we want to let anything negative into our minds in the first place, right? Because we want to focus on what we can do to make a difference in that positive direction of humanity's evolution, rather than getting infected by the virus of fear, which doesn't serve anyone, right? Other than the profits that the mainstream media generates. And also understand there's a huge bias, right? At least in the US, it's like, I think 4 to 7 corporations that own the entire media, and they engineer the message based on what they want to achieve, based on their hidden agenda, right? And there's a huge long agenda. I can make another video on that if you want. But let go of mainstream media. Let go of all the information that's coming into your mind that's not serving you, that's infecting it with fear, so that you can allow your vibration to raise to its natural set point, which is high, which is pure love, which is unconditional joy. But there's a lot of stuff that actually holds us back from that. Now, the fifth thing that you must give up in order to raise your vibration permanently is toxic relationships. Because I look back at my own life, right? And I'm sure you've heard it already, right? You are who you surround yourself with. Show me your friends, I will show you your future. Our environment affects us to an extent that is greater than we can ever estimate, right? There's something known as osmosis. There's something known as mirror neurons, right? This is the same function that, imagine a pack of lions, right? Or lionesses, right? Lions don't really hunt. Lionesses, they're prowling, they're hunting down their prey, and they're all coordinated. How do they coordinate without language? It comes down to mirror neurons, right? We pick up the behavior patterns from the people that we surround ourselves with. And really, it's important to understand that there are 2 types of people that we come across in our lives, right? There are people that charge us up. There are people that support us, that when we spend time with them, we come out with a higher level of energy. We come through an interaction with them and we discuss ideas. We talk about the bigger picture. We talk about how we can make a positive impact on humanity. And then there are people who we spend time with talking about other people, talking about judgment, talking about what's wrong with the world, right? There are people that you spend time with that charge you up, that you, after coming out of the interaction, you just feel amazing, right? And then there are people in your life that you interact with that after the interaction, you're just drained, right? So really develop an awareness around what people in your life drain you of energy versus the people that actually fuel you of energy. and make it a point to really be aware of what you allow into your vicinity, and the people that you allow into your vicinity will be the one factor that affects you more than anything else, right? Really consider this the most important thing that you must let go of, because toxic relationships, right, we pick up the belief systems of the people around us, right? If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to quit drugs, if you're trying to generate more income, if you're trying to level up in your life, but the people you surround yourself with are not vibrating at that frequency, it's going to be like carrying a huge suitcase, trying to go up, going up towards your goals, trying to conquer your vision, but you're carrying so much baggage, and that baggage is being picked up from the people around you, right? So the life that you want, the life that you seek to create, will be a result of the vibration that you embody, right? Everything is energy vibrating at a frequency. Nikola Tesla said that if you seek the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And in order to create the life that we love, we have to elevate the frequency of our vibration from these lower level emotions of fear, of guilt, of shame, right? Once we learn to let go of these lower level emotions is when our naturally high vibration comes out as a byproduct. Okay, so those are the 5 things in this video. As a plane is about to come through, I hope you don't hear it. All right, but let me know in the comments below what has been your number 1 takeaway from this video. Okay, and with that being said, I hope you got value from this video. All right, this has been Mo here. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm getting nervous about this plane flying above my head. I want it to distract me, as it already is. I don't want it to distract you. So with that, I conclude this video, and I will see you in the next one. Much love to you. Take care.